Jax Teller spent 7 years trying to become the man his father wanted him to be, and in the end, he became the man who killed his father. That's the whole tragedy, right there. A son who finds an old manuscript in his dad's dusty boxes, reads a dream about a better life, and swears he's going to drag his motorcycle club out of the blood and the guns, and then watches himself do the exact opposite. More bodies, more lies, more graves, until the only way to keep his promise was to die the same way his father did, on the same stretch of road, under the same truck. This is the story of a club called SAMCRO, a town called Charming, and a prince who inherited a kingdom built on a lie. Let's take it all the way through, episode by episode. We open in Charming, a town the Sons of Anarchy keep quiet so nobody looks too hard at their business. Tonight the rule cracks. The Mayans torch SAMCRO's gun warehouse and accidentally burn 2 women Tig stashed there. President Clay leans on the cops to bury it, but VP Jax has bigger problems. His meth-addicted ex Wendy collapses pregnant, and baby Abel arrives 10 weeks early with a heart defect. 20% odds. Fleeing, Jax finds his dead father's manuscript, John Teller's dream of pulling the club out of guns, a promise that will quietly destroy him. The Sons raid the Mayans, and Jax kills a Nord, proof the gangs are allied. Tara saves Abel. Gemma slips Wendy a needle. She overdoses. The fire never went out. Deputy David Hale digs up the 2 burned women before Tig can move them, and his DNA is all over the bodies. SAMCRO needs a distraction, and the show's 2 roads diverge. Clay would murder a Nord for cover. Jax pitches cleaner. They borrow 2 cadavers and stage a fake racist shootout to muddy the water. No new body. Yet. Clay also strong-arms the cancer-stricken Chief Unser into staying 6 more months to keep them covered. Gemma pulls struggling Donna toward the family with groceries, but Opie and Donna refuse. They want out of this life. Remember that. The next trouble has nothing to do with guns. The carnival rolls in, and a businessman's 13-year-old daughter, Tristan, is found raped and beaten in the woods. Her father, Elliot Oswald, begs Clay for help. Clay agrees on one condition. Oswald delivers justice himself. The Sons chase wrong, leads until Gemma coaxes the truth out. The rapist is a carny. They drag him out and hand Oswald the knife. He can't do it, so Clay castrates the man himself. Then, true to who Clay is, he keeps the bloody knife with Oswald's prints, leverage to stop him selling his land. Meanwhile, a creepy ATF agent named Cone starts circling Tara. With a TF sniffing and the warehouse gone, the club still needs somewhere to hide guns. So Jax and Bobby ride to Nevada to lean on a brother club, the Devil's Tribe. Mayan turf gets in the way, so Clay patches the smaller club over. To punish Half-Sack, Clay sleeps with the sweet butt Cherry, a betrayal that detonates later. Jax beds a woman, and Cone photographs it. Then the Mayans tail Jax to the new clubhouse, a shootout erupts, and the tribe's president, Jury, takes a bullet. And Cone hand-delivers the photos to Tara, closer and closer. For one day, the war goes quiet, and old grudges take over at Gemma's school fundraiser. The club guards a prison snitch named Chuck to grab the 400 grand he stole from the Chinese. The cash is counterfeit, so Clay swaps it back to Henry Lynn for 60 grand real and dodges a war. Meanwhile, a ghost returns. Kyle, excommunicated for leaving Opie to take a prison fall, comes back doing suspiciously well. But he never had his club tattoo removed, so the Sons hold him down and Tig burns the ink off his back with a blowtorch. You don't leave the club. The gun business John Teller wanted ended keeps drawing blood. Piney sells AK-47s to a militia, which uses them to ambush a prison convoy. A cop and 2 bystanders die, and the militia leader drops a phone whose last call was to Teller Morrow. Enter ATF agent June Stahl, who ties the Sons to Irish guns. The home front goes up too. Gemma learns Clay slept with Cherry, smashes a skateboard into the girl's face, and lands in a cell beside her own husband. With a warrant looming, the club hides weapons and sells the militia grain rigged with explosives, blowing 3 of them to pieces. The dead won't stay buried in Charming. Construction workers unearth 3 skeletons from the club's old Mayan war. One isn't a Mayan. It's Lowell's father, a mechanic the club killed for being a junkie rat, and watching Clay handle it shows how far Teller's dream has rotted. He lies to Lowell's face, then nearly executes him too before pulling back. Meanwhile, the Cone thread snaps. Tara admits Cone is her violent ex, a federal agent stalking her from Chicago. Jax beats him bloody at a barbershop, takes scissors to the leg for it, and Stahl strips Cone of his badge and ships him out. Jax watches him leave. He thinks it's over. It isn't. The guns keep demanding to be fed. The IRA wants 70 grand, so Gemma squeezes a loan from her friend Luan, while Jax and Opie hijack a fuel truck. But Darby hands the Mayans the club's Irish connection, and Alvarez sends his own son Isai to kill Clay. At an Irish bar, Mayan gunmen miss, and war is certain. Then the darkest turn happens quietly. Cone never left. He comes out of Tara's bathroom, hits her, forces himself on her, and she gets his gun and shoots him in the stomach. Jax arrives and finishes it. Then the two make love feat from the corpse. The life is closing over Tara. So Jax buries Cone, and Tara starts coming apart. With a war he can't win, Clay cuts a deal in Alvarez's cell. SAMCRO sells guns to the Mayans, and Alvarez even permits them to kill his own son for the failed hit. Happy throws an ice pick into Isai's throat, seconds after his father said he loved him. Against John Teller's dream, his sons trade rifles with enemies and execute children. Cameron offers free guns to murder a port boss, and Opie volunteers to prove loyalty. He freezes, Bobby shoots, but a witness sees them. That witness is a loose thread, and Stahl picks Rico as her weapon, squeezing the women. She raids Luan's porn studio, jails Cherry on her Nevada arson warrant, and visits the imprisoned Otto with a deal. Give up SAMCRO, save your wife. The club empties the station with a brawl, warns Luan that Otto must stay silent, and Jax breaks Cherry out before she cracks. Otto hands Stahl a note about an old heist, not knowing it feeds her conspiracy case. When he clocks the trap, he smashes her face into the table. Bleeding, she vows to bury them all. Here's how. Stahl arrests Bobby for the port boss murder, then frames Opie as the rat by secretly paying his debts and dragging his family into witness protection. The club notices the debt vanished by federal wire and starts whispering. Tig is certain Opie flipped. Opie comes home, swears he's loyal, and the sons embrace him in the chapel. It should end there. But Tig scans Opie's truck and finds ATF bugs, planted without his knowledge. And to Tig, that's proof. He tells Clay they must kill Opie, and Clay, against his gut, agrees. The man who knew Opie as a boy just signed his death warrant on a lie. And it all comes due on what should be the happiest day. Abel finally comes home, and the club throws a homecoming party, the family scene John Teller built it all for. Underneath it, Clay has ordered Tig to murder Opie today. He sets a Mayan gun deal, then tips the 1-9ers to ambush it, planning to have Tig shoot Opie in the back amid the chaos. But Opie saves Tig's life, and when Tig gets his shot, he can't fire. Then the truth arrives too late. Hale leaks that Opie was never a rat, but Clay can't reach Tig. Donna and Opie swap cars. Tig empties a MAC-10 through the wrong back window, and it's Donna, dead, for a lie. Donna is gone, and the lie that killed her starts eating everyone who touched it. Opie blames himself. Clay drowns in guilt while Gemma tells him to bury it and lead. The club decides the witness must die, and Clay blackmails Oswald with that same bloody castration knife to get her location. Episode 3's Chicken's home. Then Tig, Happy, and Chibs raid the safe house, and Jax bursts in, pulls a gun on Tig, frees the terrified woman, and beats him down. He's seen enough. At Donna's funeral, Piney presses John Teller's manuscript back into Jax's hands. Clay and Gemma watch, afraid of the man that book will make. The club comes out of its first war bloodied, holding itself together with a lie. Bobby walks free. Opie drifts home, never knowing Clay and Tig put Donna in the ground. Jax knows and carries it like a stone. To keep the family whole, he helps Clay frame the Mayans. Then the real threat arrives. Ethan Zobel and AJ Weston roll in with their separatist league, demanding SAMCRO stop selling guns to minorities. Clay laughs them off. That night, masked men grab Gemma at a staged roadside emergency and gang rape her in a cage, a warning for her husband. Before she blacks out, she glimpses a red neck tattoo. The warning was meant to break Clay through the woman he loves. Instead, Gemma becomes keeper of her own secret. Unser fakes a car accident, and she begs him and Tara to bury the truth, refusing to hand Zobel a war over her. Weston watches Clay bounce the baby, carefree, and knows the message never landed. Jax muscles SAMCRO into porn with Luan. Then the Niner gun exchange goes sideways, the Mayans ambushing them on a league tip. Bobby catches a bullet, and to save him, Clay hands the guns over. Losing those guns leaves Clay raw, and a raw Clay is dangerous to live with. When Gemma keeps her distance, his patience snaps. He smashes her SUV windows with his bare hands and threatens her until she flees her own home, never understanding why she flinches. Zobel buys a cop, working Hale, dangling the dream of wiping out SAMCRO if he looks away while Darby pumps meth into Charming. The Sons blow up Darby's lab, Opie nearly going up with it. At the porn rap party, Ima catches Jax and Tara mid-sex. Nobody in this family keeps a single thing clean. So the club does what it always does when the ground gets unstable. It rides. SAMCRO heads out on a charity run that's really a gun front, meeting the Irish dealers Cameron and Edmund, the men John Teller wanted his son to walk away from. Back home, Gemma's private war gets a face. A package arrives, one of her attacker's masks, traced to Zobel's shop. She spots Weston's neck tattoo, stalks him for days, gun in hand, unable to pull the trigger. On the run, Tig gets snatched from a hospital by bounty hunters, and Piney crashes a tow truck through a motel to free him. Jax warns Clay to fix his mess. Clay threatens to kill him. That threat hangs while the enemy draws blood the club can't answer. In Stockton, Aryans ram a mop handle into Otto's one good eye, blinding him. Gemma spots Polly Zobel and her green minivan, places them at the rape, and accidentally breaks Tara's nose in the chase. The club votes on hitting back at Zobel, splits 4-4, and is forced to wait. In that quiet, Gemma reads JT's manuscript, the dead man still trying to steer them toward forgiveness. Outside, Chibs climbs into Polly's planted minivan. It explodes, blood pooling beneath his head. A brother in critical condition is a match on a soaked rag, and the two halves of the club catch fire over how to fight. Clay hunts Zobel and Weston the only way he knows. Jax does the opposite, partnering openly with Hale, chasing the peaceful takedown his father would have recognized. The Sons trace Zobel to a Christian center, and SAMCRO storms in armed for an army and finds families at dinner. Weston fires hidden shots to spark panic. Clay tries to gun down Zobel, and Jax knocks his arm away, the heir stopping the king. Then the sheriffs pour in and arrest the whole club. Behind bars, the war doesn't pause. It changes shape. Outnumbered, the Sons need protection, so Clay deals with the prison's black guerrilla family. 2 traitors taken out for shelter. Outside, Opie's planted drugs go wrong, and Sheriff Trammell gets shot. Stahl arrives chasing the Irish, baiting Clay and Jax each with Donna, walking away with nothing. Elliot Oswald finally posts the bond. At Bobby's urging, Jax goes to Clay to make peace. Clay clocks him instead, and the two beat each other bloody while Stahl watches them tear the family apart for free. They walk out free men. Jax walks to the garage alone. With the men home and not speaking, Gemma plans a family dinner to stitch the club back together. Chibs wakes to find his estranged wife Fiona at his bedside, and with her comes a buried life, a daughter in Ireland, and a dark history with IRA boss Jimmy O. Then the floor drops out. The Irish sold their guns to Zobel, who armed the Mayans, and Alvarez declares the truce dead. Worse, Hale finds Luan beaten to death in a ravine. When the family sits down, the meal detonates instead of healing. Luan's death sits hard on Jax, the man who torched Georgie's set and started the war that may have killed her. Lynn offers a gun pipeline if SAMCRO leans on an INS judge. And Clay, pure spite now, orders Cara shut down and reminds Jax of his promise to kill him over Donna. So Jax lays his cocked 9 on the table and turns his back, daring him. Clay doesn't fire. Then Jax pulls up to Cara and finds it burned to the ground, and knows it was Clay. Done with the gap between them, Jax declares he's going nomad. But a man can't just walk out of this family, and Jax's transfer needs a unanimous release vote. While it hangs, the Irish thread pulls tight. Chibs hijacks the transport van to expose the Irish Zobel gun deal, and then Jimmy O steps out of the dark, threatening Chibs' daughter Carrie Ann unless he arranges a sit-down with Clay. Cornered, Chibs feeds Stahl intel to protect his family. Gemma puts the manuscript in front of Jax, page 449, where JT once weighed going nomad himself and chose to stay and suffer. The vote passes, and Jax strips his patches off. Then Gemma finally tells Clay and Jax about the rape. As Jax turns to leave, he reaches back and reclaims his patches. Whatever JT's words couldn't do, his mother's pain does, and Jax sews his patches back on. He and Clay bury what they can stand to and start planning deadly revenge on Zobel. But the old sin won't stay buried. Drunk, Tig and Gemma fall into each other until Tig sees a photo of Jax and the guilt cracks him open. He confesses to Opie that he and Clay killed Donna. Opie beats him bloody, then hunts Stahl down, holds an empty gun to her head, and lets her live to carry the mercy. Piney fires twice at Clay and misses. With the worst secret out and somehow survived, Clay reconciles with Gemma. Patched up and pointed at one enemy, the club turns its full weight outward. SAMCRO locks down the compound as charters pour in. Jax poisons Weston against Zobel, revealing the Aryan boss armed the Mayans for heroin, and Weston shoots Ule dead and storms in on Zobel, who calmly sends Polly into the line of fire without a flicker. Jax baits Weston into a 10-on-10 fight. Stahl's raid gets played by a bait-and-switch, empty crates, and 2 dead rats left behind. The brawl grinds to a melee until Hale arrests Weston. The Sons corner Zobel, and Clay nearly executes him on Main Street until Zobel forces his own arrest with a brick of heroin. Jax whispers the only promise left: they will kill him. Then the floor drops out, because the man they swore to kill was never theirs to kill. The FBI cuts Zobel loose and reveals he's been their informant for years. Out of legal options, SAMCRO leaks to the Aryans that he's a rat, and Otto takes his revenge inside. Jax silences Weston with 7 shots in a tattoo parlor bathroom, dragging himself further from the man he wanted to be. Stahl shoots Edmund dead and frames Gemma, who kills Polly in self-defense and runs with Unser. Then the season takes everything. Cameron, mad with grief, stabs Half-Sack to death and kidnaps baby Abel, his boat speeding off before Jax reaches the wharf. Jax drops to his knees and screams, "A son who lost a father, now a father who lost a son." A grieving stranger named Cameron had already taken Abel and sailed for Ireland with a baby that wasn't his. Back in Charming, Jax is coming apart, sitting in an empty nursery, staring at a crib that holds nothing. The club traces Cameron through a forger to a marina, and all they find is Abel's tiny beanie. In Belfast, Cameron knocks on a woman named Maureen's door with the baby, then grief comes home. At Half-Sack's wake, a masked van opens fire on the mourners, then runs down Deputy Chief Hale and crushes his skull dead. Jax beats the captured gunman near to death. The man who started it never makes it home. Cameron confesses to Father Kellen Ashby, who lies and promises to plead his case. The council and Jimmy O have already decided Cameron must be erased and every trace of Abel buried. The first hint these people care more about burying the truth than returning the boy. In Charming, the club IDs the shooters as Calaveras and buries rival President Salazar to his neck to make him talk. At Nate's, the old man shoots Tig in the back and Gemma takes the caregiver hostage. In Belfast, Ashby blesses Cameron, then has him garroted in a pew. Everything the club touches costs more now. They trade Cara Cara girls for Henry Lynn's guns, and Opie detonates the party with his fists when Lila volunteers. Allie Lowen warns Clay a new bail hearing could send half the club to prison. In the basement, the hostage Amelia knocks out Tara and grabs a knife, and in the struggle stabs herself in the chest and dies. Tig calls a cleaner to make her vanish. In Belfast, Maureen learns Cameron killed Half-Sack and gathers Gemma's number. Juice confirms Cameron is dead over there, which only sharpens the one question nobody can answer. Where's Abel? That question sends the club north to Oregon to collect Gemma, still hiding the kidnapping from her. Cornered by Jax, Tara blurts the truth that she and Gemma killed and dumped Amelia, and Jax tells her flatly, "We are not your family." Gemma checks Nate into assisted living, then quietly calls Stahl with a tip, betraying the club to save herself. When the Sons get back, Gemma and the car are gone. She drives home, finds the same empty nursery, and Maureen finally calls and tells her the grandson is in Belfast. The stress drops Gemma cold to the pavement outside the clubhouse. She wakes handcuffed to a hospital bed. Furious, the club hid Abel's fate. He's in Belfast, the first crack in a lie the Irish have guarded hard. Tara confesses she's 6 weeks pregnant. At home, Salazar's crew jumps Juice and steals his cut, and Maureen warns by phone she can't promise how long Abel stays safe. So Jax makes his most dangerous move, the kind his father might have warned him about. He tracks Stahl home and offers a deal. He'll hand her Jimmy O and the Irish for a legend bust if she clears Gemma. The dreamer just made himself a rat. That deal needs money. To fund Belfast, the club hijacks a Mayan heroin shipment and hands it back to Alvarez as a peace offering, and the price is the Calaveras rat, Pozo, dead before he can testify. Tig injects cyanide into his IV. Gemma plays her part, giving a doctored statement naming Stahl's lover instead of Stahl. Darby tips Jacob Hale that Jax is dealing black market script, triggering a raid that finds nothing, and the guilt of dragging Tara deeper finally breaks Jax open. He tells her he's done and kisses her goodbye. That night, he sleeps with porn star Ima instead. The lie he told to protect her doesn't hold. Tara discovers he slept with Ima, and he still insists pushing her away keeps her safe. Then the buried teller past surfaces in the cruelest way. On the phone, Gemma realizes JT fathered Maureen's daughter Trinity, which makes the girl Jax's half-sister. Gemma vomits. To make the Belfast trip, she fakes a fever in an ice bath and slips out with Tara's help. The Sons reach Oswald's hangar and warn Belfast President McGee to hide their arrival from Jimmy. McGee hangs up and Jimmy walks in behind him. He tells him everything. So they fly into a country country already waiting for them. The Sons hit a roadblock, but Gemma rams the cop car and the Irish charter springs them, and Chibs smells Jimmy on the paid deportation. The club reaches Ashby Alley and reunites Chibs with his wife Fiona and daughter Carrie-Ann. Brief warmth before the trap snaps. Their truck is ambushed, the blame pinned on loyalist UVF. Back home, Jacob Hale hires Salazar, who storms old Lumpy's gym and beats him bloody. Tara quietly schedules her own abortion. Then Ashby names the price of Jax's son. Kill Jimmy, and Abel goes home. Jax doesn't trust the man dangling his son, so he has Stahl dig into the priest while the club joins a sample gun run to corner Jimmy. They're walking into a trap. Jimmy storms Maureen's apartment, shoots Michael Casey in the head, and only Trinity's interruption lets Gemma turn the tables. The barn is worse. Jimmy's recruits lock the Sons inside with a rigged truck, and O'Neill, his man all along, thumbs the detonator. The truck explodes. Chib's nephew Patrick is among the dead. Back home, Salazar runs Tara and Margaret off the road and takes them both hostage. Proof is the only currency left, and Ashby needs proof of the bombing before the army moves. Salazar phones a brutal ransom, kill Alvarez, and steal $250,000 or Tara and Margaret die. The Sons capture O'Neill, torture a videotaped confession that Jimmy ordered the bomb, and Jax kills O'Neill and sends the tape to Ashby. Then 40 years of betrayal come due. McGee confesses he sold them out the whole time, and a grieving Clay hugs his oldest friend, then shoves him off the roof. Gemma and Maureen finally tell Jax and Trinity they're siblings. Ashby hands Jax the orphanage address. Jax and Trinity sit in the wreckage of what almost happened, slowly absorbing the bond they didn't know they had. The search for Abel finally ends. At the orphanage, Gemma bluffs the nuns into admitting Abel was already adopted by Mark and Katie Petrie. Jax finds them at a market, watches his son in loving hands, and lets them walk away. Tara stabs her captor and escapes with Margaret, but the Sons reach the Petries' hotel to find them dead and Abel gone, taken by Jimmy. At the docks, Jimmy hands Abel over, and Ashby climbs into the car in the baby's place. Abel is home, but Salazar still has Tara. Jimmy deals with Russian Victor Putlova for passage to Brazil, while the Sons work to trap Salazar alive so he'll testify against Hale. Gemma confronts Stahl at gunpoint, demanding she kill the deal, turning Jax into a rat. The endgame collapses inward. Salazar takes Tara and Hale hostage. Jax trades himself, Hale stabs Salazar with a pen, and Jax chases the wounded man down and guts him with a knife. Outside, Stahl pulls a throwaway gun and shoots her own lover through the throat to bury the lie, and Opie proposes to Lila. The club throws a joyful party, then springs the most layered con of the season. Cleaning up, Gemma finds the folder and learns Jax has been ratting to Stahl all along, but the rat is the bait. They buy Jimmy from Putlova with counterfeit bills, snatch him into Tara's trunk, then let Stahl out Jax and load the arrested Sons into a van. It's all theater. On the road, Opie disarms Stahl. Chibs stabs Jimmy's throat, and Opie shoots Stahl through the head for Donna. But the true cost is the page Tara finally reads. JT's letters say it plain. Gemma and Clay killed him. 14 months in Stockton, and the Sons walk out into a Charming that moved on. Charming PD is gone, and quietly a federal attorney, Lincoln Potter, is building a RICO case to bury the whole club at once. Jax doesn't know that. He's carrying his father's letters, all but certain Clay and Gemma murdered John Teller. He comes home a son who knows. A deal with the Russians turns into a massacre, and the Sons survive in blood. Then Gemma realizes the paper Abel scribbled on is one of Maureen's letters. Tara has read it. Tara knows the truth now too. The next deal drops the floor out. Jax and Clay run guns to Romeo of the Galindo cartel. Except it isn't only guns, it's muling cocaine, and nobody told Jax. Furious, he watches the club he wanted to free get chained to something darker than his father ever touched. So the two men strike a private bargain. Jax backs the drug business, and Clay backs Jax walking away once he steps down. Opie patched in as president. It's the first crack in the dream John Teller wrote into that manuscript. When Russians ambush them, the cartel they never wanted is the reason they live. Back at the clubhouse, Tara lifts them with the only good news in months. She and Jax are engaged. Street punks jack the whole gun truckload, and SAMCRO scrambles to claw it back before the Russians or the cartel notice. Clay turns to the votes, buying Bobby's by promising to endorse him as next president. Roosevelt grabs Juice and finds his own leverage, threatening to expose that Juice is half black. At church, the drug deal passes 6-5. The club inching toward the man John Teller warned it never to become. Then Clay puts a hand to Piney's throat and tells him what talking will cost. The Sons escort a gun truck south, and Clay's arthritis betrays him along the way. The man with the gavel barely able to hold a wrench. At a Tucson stop, they find the local charter-dealing crank, a member murdered for stumbling onto a meth house their own officers ran. Back home, Piney corners Tara about the letters and then collapses, his body giving out under the secret poisoning everyone who holds it. The run ends as it had to. The Sons collect $750,000 and take 30 kilos of uncut cocaine. The dream of getting out has never felt further away. That cocaine pushes Piney from warning to threat. He tells Clay he's read John Teller's letters and demands the club get out of drugs, or the truth comes out that Clay and Gemma murdered the founder and built everything on his grave. Clay sends Unser to steal the letters from Tara, but Gemma redirects him, and Unser grabs photocopies and goes to burn them. Clay yanks them from the fire and learns Unser helped cover up the murder all those years ago. Meanwhile, Roosevelt gives Juice 2 days to steal a coke sample, and Juice swipes a brick and hides it in the woods. So when the club counts, it comes up 1 brick short, and every eye turns suspicious. One missing brick is almost enough to start a war with the Mayans, so Clay goes hunting a traitor. Juice slips off to recover the coke himself, but Miles catches him. They struggle. Juice takes a bullet to the leg, then shoots Miles dead, and plants the cocaine on the body to make him the rat. The kilos go to Romeo, and Clay, murder already comfortable in his hands, quietly asks Romeo to arrange Tara's death. No one who read those letters can stay alive, and Unser, who can't warn anyone out loud without exposing himself, types an anonymous death threat and leaves it in Tara's car, hoping Fear will do what he can't. Gemma finds that threat first and stops Tara from calling police, keeping the lid on a danger she doesn't yet understand. Tara, already marked for death, digs a bullet out of the wounded Alvarez's shoulder, saving the enemy's life while a contract on her own is written. Bobby finally calls a vote on Clay's presidency, and Clay answers it the cruelest way he knows, pinning a Men of Mayhem patch on Juice and calling him son, buying the loyalty of the man he's breaking. It's too much! Juice goes back to Miles's grave and tries to hang himself. A snap. The branch breaks before Juice does, and he survives, walking into a club coming apart. As Clay opens the leadership vote, gunmen hurl in a duffel bag, and inside are severed heads. Piney calls them a get-out-of-drugs card and renews his ultimatum one more time, never knowing how close it brings the gun to his own chest. And then, the same day, Clay stops pretending. He drives to Piney's cabin, knocks the old man down, takes his shotgun and shoots him dead in the chest, then scrawls Lobos initials in blood to blame the cartel. This is the moment Clay becomes the open villain, killing the last man brave enough to defend the dream. Jax learns Juice tried to take his own life and warns him hard that sons don't kill themselves. But the discovery that matters belongs to Gemma, who finds Piney's body and knows without a shred of doubt that Clay did this. Luis hands Clay a burner phone with a single number, an independent hitman for Tara. So Gemma, having just buried one man Clay killed, makes him promise her twice he won't hurt Tara. He looks her in the eye and agrees. Then he drives off, takes out the burner, and dials the killer. He lied to his own. Clay pays Romeo's assassin and asks for it quick and clean, the same cold arithmetic he once used on John Teller. Jax, with no idea death is on the road, takes Tara onto the highway, dreaming out loud about freedom until masked men grab her at a park. Jax chases the van down and shields her with his own body, but her hand gets slammed in the door. 3 broken bones and nerve damage. The surgeon's career may be ending in a car door because Clay couldn't leave a witness. In the lot, Gemma accuses Clay to his face. They fight, she pulls a gun, and Clay beats her bloody with his ringed fist. Broken and bleeding, she makes the vow that defines everything left, that Clay will die by the hand of a son. That vow has to wait, because the Irish are coming to town for the cartel. The Sons assault a Lobos camp and walk into a minefield, where Tacoma's Kozik steps on a mine and is killed, and where suicidal Juice walks through untouched and leads everyone out alive. But everything bends toward the cabin. Unser brings Opie to Piney's place and shows him the body and the truth that Clay killed his father and nearly beat Gemma to death. The vow now has a soldier. Opie is going to be the hand. Before Jax wears the gavel now, dragging the club into a cartel deal, telling himself he can steer it cleaner than Clay. His father once dreamed of pulling SAMCRO out of guns. Wrote it in a manuscript Jax has read more than he'll admit. Gemma wakes beside Nero Padilla, an escort runner who turns out no sleazebag. Clay, chained to an oxygen tank, begs a forgiveness she won't give, and Opie buries his father and warns Jax the gavel will turn him into clay. He should have listened. Across town, Damon Pope, who lost his daughter to Tig, wants lasting pain, so he burns Tig's daughter Dawn alive while her father screams. Jax and Chibs go on the run. The running doesn't last. Jax recovers Tig, still kneeling over Dawn's charred body, and briefs lawyer Allie Lowen on the Ryko case hanging over the club, already plotting to kill it. Then, in the kind of choice only a drowning man makes, he decides he and Tara should marry today, in a brothel, wanted for murder. Gemma hands over her own rings, the ones she shared with John Teller. The deputies come anyway, and Opie gets cuffed too, because if Jax is going inside, Opie won't let him go alone. Inside County, Pope lays out his terms with the calm of a man never told no. Half the cartel payday, Tig locked away for life, and one dead son to settle the score. Jax sits with the arithmetic of which brother to sacrifice, and finally tells Opie why he couldn't kill Clay. Opie tells him flatly he made the wrong choice. Then the guards demand a name. Opie headbutts the sergeant. "I got this." They hand him a pipe and 4 inmates and beat him senseless. He drops to his knees in his own blood, finds Jax's face through the glass, and takes the killing blow looking right at him. Jax turns away, crying, as his best friend is murdered a few feet from his hands. Whatever was left of John Teller's gentler dream dies on that floor. Opie is gone, and the club staggers like a body not told its heart stopped. Jax votes through Pope's 50 grand blood payment to keep an ugly peace, the cost of the throne ticking up, and Gemma collapses when she learns Opie is dead. Even grieving, Jax keeps chasing his father's exit, pitching Nero a clean partnership out of guns. Then, the wake. The Sons lower Opie into his coffin, and Jax slips a photo of them as boys in beside him, burying part of his own conscience. He can't sleep, haunted by what hate does to a man, because the man he's becoming is the one keeping him up. By daylight, he buries it under work, strong-arming Mayor Hale into leasing the old Elks Lodge for the escort business. At the gun meet, Galen blows up the club's bikes. To flip a holdout investor, the Sons hire escort Venus Van Dam to stage blackmail photos. And late that night, while the club congratulates itself, masked intruders shoot Roosevelt's pregnant wife, Rita. The invasions were never about strangers. Pope doubles the coke and swears he isn't behind the home invasions. Then, Rita dies. Unser keeps muttering the attacks feel local, personal, and Clay listens closely. Carla, unhinged, holds Gemma and Nero at gunpoint, then turns the gun on herself, and Jax goes hunting, tracking down the guard who set up Opie's death. Tig executes the guard's wife, and Jax beats the guard's skull in. The man who used to flinch barely blinks. Then the floor drops out. The home invasions were Clay all along, raging at his own nomads over a wife he never meant to widow. You weren't supposed to kill her. Unser points Jax at the nomads, and sure enough, Greg and Gogo wear fresh wounds. Jax leans on Frankie Diamonds, who flees town. Clay, watching his scheme unravel, plots with the nomads to murder Unser. But Unser is ready, and he and Clay cut both down while Clay spins it as a rescue. Then everything detonates. A van ambushes Jax and Chibs, and Jax kills the masked gunman. And Gemma, stoned, driving the boys home, crashes down an embankment. She comes to with Abel thrown clear, skewered on a tree limb, his stuffed toad soaking with blood. Abel goes into surgery with a damaged heart, and Tara blames Gemma. Clay lies to Jax that the van ran Gemma off the road, and Jax, trusting the wrong people exactly as his father warned, believes it. He tracks the shooters through Pope and learns Frankie Diamonds hired the whole job. Frankie surfaces at Diosa, takes Nero's 200 grand, shoots Lila anyway, and drags Chibs off, then lets him go. When Nero exposes Clay's lie, Tara bans Gemma from the kids, and Jax, cold now, hands his mother a job. Seduce Clay, get proof. Abel recovers, one small mercy. But Clay runs his own secret hunt for Frankie, desperate to silence him. The club tracks Frankie to a cabin, where he names Clay as the architect of everything, only to take a bullet from Leo before the rest of the club can hear it. Jax narrows the Rico rat down to juice. The scheme nearly stalls when Gemma chooses Nero and refuses her part, until Tara promises her family back. That night, Gemma arrives at Clay's door, ready to work him. Jax wants Juice useful, not dead, and offers him his patch back for helping bring Clay down and recovering the documents that prove Clay's treason. Tara gets a real job offer in Portland, a door toward a life away from all this. The Sons hunt Randall Hightower, one of the men who beat Opie to death, and after he gives up names, Chibs echoes the worst day of the year. I got this, and shoots him, while Bobby sees what Jax is becoming. Juice finds a silver Colt 45 at Clay's, the nomad murder weapon, and in prison, Otto reverses his Rico testimony, stabbing nurse Pamela Torek to death death with Luann's crucifix and making Tara an accessory. The accessory charge lights a fire under Tara, and she begs Jax to take the Portland job, their last honest chance out. He can't hear it. He presses Gemma and Juice for the documents that damn Clay while lining up new gun connections to replace the cartel and the Irish, building the very empire his father begged him to dismantle, blind to becoming the greediest man in town. The cartel snatches Jax off his bike, and Nero tears the town apart to find him. Juice locates the documents in Clay's air vent, but Clay slips in and retrieves them first. And then Bobby arrives at Clay's door, not to kill him, but to keep him breathing. Bobby forces the reckoning. Clay confesses to the Nomad attacks before the whole table. The vote to strip his patch is unanimous, but Bobby blocks the death vote, and Clay lives. Enraged, robbed of the killing he'd promised himself, Jax beats Clay bloody in the lot for the club to watch, and Bobby finally says it out loud. He cut the deal to stop Jax from becoming the man he wants to murder. A retired marshal named Lee Torek, brother of the nurse Otto killed, corners Tara with conspiracy charges, and Jax jabs Wendy with a heroin pop, warning her never to threaten his family again. John Teller's son, now doing things John Teller never would have dreamed. It funnels into one cold plan. Jax agrees to deliver Tig to Pope at 2 o'clock. Otto bites off his own tongue and hurls it at Lee Torek to stay silent. Then comes the turn the season has bent toward. Jax rides Tig out to hand him over, only to pull a hidden gun and kill Pope's men, and Tig shoots Pope dead with Clay's silver .45. Jax tips Roosevelt to the body and the planted weapon. Gemma lets Clay's alibi die in her throat, and Clay is arrested for Pope's murder, framed clean by the boy he raised. The dream of pulling the club out of the dark is gone, and the man who once carried it has learned how easily he can damn another to save himself. Then Roosevelt arrives at Jax's door, not for him, but to arrest Tara. Opie is in the ground, and Jax has come out of that grief hollowed and cold. Clay sits in Stockton, framed by his own stepson, while Jax wears the gavel. In JT's old manuscript still whispers the dream Jax keeps swearing to honor and keeps betraying, pulling the club out of guns. A retired marshal named Lee Torek arranges Otto's rape and leans on Clay and Tara to flip. Both refuse. Jax and Nero shut down a porn studio at the docks, tying the club to crooked ex-cop Borowski. And then a troubled boy walks into his school with a SAMCRO KG-9 and opens fire. The smoke from that classroom doesn't clear. It spreads. The gun was SAMCRO iron, and 4 people are dead, 3 of them children. The violence is finally coming home. Torek ties the KG-9 to the Sons and hands D.A. Patterson a case she won't drop. The loose end is Darvany, a junkie rat, the most dangerous kind. At Piney's cabin, Arcadio draws on Jax, and Nero blows his head off, which leaves only Darvany tied to a bed, the price of admission for a man earning his way back in. Juice shoots her up and smothers her, and the door reopens for him. That arithmetic is everywhere now. Lives traded for position. Inside Stockton, Clay knifes an inmate during a staged riot for protection. Outside, Torek is coming apart. He accidentally shoots a Diosa prostitute, finishes her with a pillow, and plants her hair in Nero's car to frame him. Jax meets August Marks and hands him Tig to clear an old debt. And then Tara, 8 weeks pregnant, tells only Gemma. Jax sees the positive test, and for one moment, the future looks like it might still hold something soft. It doesn't hold for long. White supremacists carve a swastika into Unser's chest, and the club rides out, mowing down a ranch of white power thugs. But while SAMCRO answers one war, the Irish open another. Galen executes Filthy Phil, and the prospect V-Lin and saws off their hands. And in Stockton, the longest thread snaps. Torek brings Clay to a brutalized Otto, and Clay slips his brother a shiv. No more, brother. When Torek returns, hoping Otto will rat Clay out, Otto stabs him again and again, then rakes the shiv across his throat. The guards gun Otto down. The Irish war is faster. Jax runs Connor down with a van and buries him alive to trade him for peace with the Belfast Kings. But Galen sits right there at the table, poisoning every word. In prison, guards force Gemma to have sex with Clay while they watch, then warn her she dies if she talks. And then a shamrock pen is left on a table. Jax and Chibs realize what it is a beat too late. Jax grabs sleeping Abel and runs as the clubhouse blows apart behind them, the heart of everything Clay built going up in fire. Jax stands in the gutted shell and says the truest thing all season. I did this. He means more than the bomb. Chibs presses the gavel back into his hands. Facing the other charters, for one moment, the dream in JT's manuscript flickers to life through his son's mouth. Jax counts the cost out loud, 20 deaths in 2 years, and votes the club out of guns entirely. The table comes with him, the closest he has come to becoming his father instead of the man his father warned about. But the good never lasts. Patterson offers Tara full immunity to flip on Jax, and Tara Tara takes it. Rebuilding starts small, but the cruelty isn't done. Helping Venus rescue her nephew, Jax hears her monstrous mother Alice spew venom about a boy growing up to hate his father and kill himself over it. The words cut into his fear that he is already that man, and he blows her brains out. But the real machinery is Tara's con. She provokes Gemma into a fight, then ruptures a hidden bag of blood and screams that Gemma kicked her pregnant belly. Gemma is hauled away in cuffs while Jax, gutted, signs papers that bar his own mother from his children forever. So the family eats itself a little more. Jax believes Tara lost their baby, but the lie has cracks, and Unser pieces it together first. The body count keeps reaching for the family. The Sons trace a man who ran down a gang member, and Jax finds a photo of his son, a child killed in the school shooting, the violence circling back to its source. Cornered, the grieving father drives the knife into his own throat. Gemma, free on bond, tells Jax she's finished, that grandma is dead. And then the truth finally cracks open. Nero tells Jax the guards forced Gemma to have sex with Clay, and Gemma reveals Tara faked the whole pregnancy and miscarriage to run with the boys. Jax beats Nero, then forces Tara's lawyer at gunpoint to admit the baby was a lie. Inside Stockton, Clay buys his transfer to county by biting off a guard's nose, then firms up the Irish breakout. But the gut punch comes softer. Gemma confesses to Nero that years ago she gave Clay her blessing to murder John Teller, Jax's father, because he had gone weak trying to pull the club out of guns. The exact dream Jax just voted for. The exact death waiting for any man who tries it. The war between Jax and Tara goes quiet and cold, which is worse. Thomas and Abel will not be raised by you, Gemma tells her. Either mommy moved away or mommy passed away. Your call. At a gun demo, Galen massacres the Chinese, and Lynn answers by running the club off the road, taking Happy hostage, and shutting the Irish pipeline down. And in his cell, Clay understands there is no breaking out of what is closing around him. With the deal gone and the breakout greenlit, everything bends toward one hanger. The Sons stage a fake transport hijacking and blast Clay free. A wounded cop shoots Bobby badly before Juice runs him down. They bring Clay to the hangar where Galen waits, and the instant Clay steps clear, Jax blows Galen's head off. Then Jax turns to Clay. There is no anger left, only a vote that came back unanimous. Only the thing the manuscript always promised. Clay kisses Gemma's cheek and picks his own spot to die. Jax shoots him in the neck, then empties 5 more rounds into his chest as Gemma weeps. The boy who swore to pull the club out of guns has killed the man who built it on them and become exactly what he hated. With Clay in the ground, the grip tightens instead of loosening. The club steers distribution into August Marks, deeper into the trade than ever. Jax ambushes the Chinese with the Niners and frees Happy. But the killing keeps souring the men. Juice, eaten alive by guilt, overdoses and nearly dies, then confesses to Nero that Jax made him kill Darvani. The real turn belongs to Tara. With her deal back on, she pulls a gun on Unser, takes the boys, and runs, choosing witness protection over the club, over Jax, over all of it. He comes home to empty cribs, and Gemma knows Tara has finally betrayed them all. For one strange moment, Jax decides to own his place in all of it. He finds Tara terrified in a park and offers to turn himself in as the source of the KG-9 so she can take the children anywhere, and they fall into bed one last time. It almost looks like grace, but Patterson learns Tara never ran, and Roosevelt brings her home, where Gemma waits, drunk and certain Tara ratted them all out. She bashes Tara's head with an iron, drowns her in the kitchen sink, and stabs her skull with a carving fork, killing the only person who ever tried to pull Jax out, over a lie, in the same blind certainty that once killed John Teller. Roosevelt walks in and says Tara never betrayed anyone, and Juice shoots him dead. Jax comes home to turn himself in and finds 2 bodies on his kitchen floor. He gathers his wife off the tile and wails as everything goes black. Jax came home to a dead wife on his kitchen floor, and he never once doubted the story he was handed. Tara gone over a lie he couldn't see, because the one who killed her was the one now feeding him a name. The man who walks out of county is colder than the one who walked in, and the first thing that cold does is carve a swastika into an inmate to buy goodwill with Aryan boss Ron Tully. Then Gemma fingers an innocent Chinese man at a party, swearing she saw him leave the house the night Tara died. Jax buys every word and goes to work on the man with a carving fork. The war is on, and every drop of blood that follows is owed to a lie his own mother told. That war needs a shape, so Jax recruits the Indian Hills Charter and its president jury to dismantle Henry Lynn's operation. The plan is patient and cruel. Win Lynn's trust, ruin him quietly, then kill everyone he loves. While Jax tightens the noose, Unser, now consulting for new Sheriff Althea Jerry, quietly starts pulling the one thread that could undo it all: Tara's murder. The Sons stage 2 hired guns to look like thieves who shot each other, except one was Jury's son. Jury cradles the body and knows the planted shotgun for what it is. 2 fathers now, and 1 grave already dug between them. The Lynn plan rolls forward, and Jax keeps his secret war hidden from August Marks while turning the streets against him. August warns Jax he'd feel no remorse killing every last son. Inside that pressure, Juice still rots in hiding and begs Chibs for a path back to the table. Chibs tells him to kill himself instead. Juice says, "I love you," and walks away, half a ghost already. And Jax, still defending the woman who lit the fire, beats the man who once hit Gemma bloody. Then the careless killings start sending the bill. A roadside heroin deal with the Aryans goes sideways when 2 deputies stumble in. Deputy Kane is shot dead, Egley critically wounded. Then, the worst news of all, someone sold the club out. Lynn's men walk into Diosa and massacre everyone inside, Colette among them. Nero clutches his rosary and prays. And the praying is the point, because Jax is descending somewhere no prayer can reach. Jax beats Lynn bloody and demands answers about Tara. And here the rotten foundation should have cracked, because Lynn has nothing to give. He never killed her. Jax can't hear it yet. Meanwhile, the real reckoning unfolds up north. Gemma is driving Juice toward a fake escape to Mexico when he starts counting the holes in her story. He runs the car off the road, takes the gun, and holds it to a sobbing, begging Gemma's head. The lie nearly dies in the dirt. It doesn't, because Juice spares her. Gemma walks the roadside alive, and Juice walks away adrift, a man with nothing left to aim at. With Lynn jailed, August Marks slides into the crosshairs. Juice, still desperate for safe passage, offers Alvarez club intel, signing his own death warrant. The Mayans hand him straight to the Sons, and Gemma weaponizes her lie one more time, feeding Jerry the false Chinese story. On the roadside where JT died, the same highway the story keeps circling back to, Jax hands Juice his Cuda and lets him ride off, part of a scheme to plant him near Lynn in prison. And Gemma, certain the club now knows everything, begins to come apart, confessing to baby Thomas that killing Tara was an accident, never noticing Abel listening from the doorway. The lie has children now. Then, the night turns hard. August's man Moses forces Bobby off the road and delivers a box to Jax. Inside is footage of Bobby's eye being cut out and the eyeball itself. So now it's Bobby in the dark, missing an eye, with Moses promising to take another piece every day. Tracing the leak, the Sons learn that Jury's dead son was the thread all along, that Jury found the bodies and ratted. At a remote meet, Jury fires back with the cruelest truth in the series. JT hated what the club became and may have killed himself, rather than ride one more day. It is the manuscript made flesh, the father's despair spoken to the son. When Jury reaches for his gun, Jax shoots him through the head, an act that will summon every charter to judge him. With Bobby still bleeding, the club races to trade for him. The exchange goes wrong. August pulls a hidden gun from the back of Bobby's pants and shoots him through the head, and Jax crumples over his brother in the dirt. August is arrested anyway. Whatever this was, as strategy is gone. It is personal. Leland, the Aryan who shot the deputies, goes to finish Eagly at the hospital, but Unser is waiting and kills him. The first life Unser has ever taken. The real reckoning lands at a country house, where the Sons spring a trap and massacre Moses' crew. Jax digs out Moses' eye with his bare hands, then ends him. For one night, the war feels won. Then comes bedtime, and Abel asks the question that detonates the whole season. Did Grandma kill his other mommy, so his first mommy could be here? Jax goes still. That question won't let him sleep, and one by one the answers arrive. Wendy confesses she helped hide Juice, and that Gemma and Unser knew too. Then Unser drops the detail that breaks it open. The Chinese man Gemma fingered was in Vegas the night Tara died. The last wall falls. Jax gets a prison meeting with Juice, who first murders Lynn in the boiler room and then hands Jax the truth he has been killing for. Gemma killed Tara. Eli Roosevelt walked in, so Juice killed him. The Chinese were never anything but a fall guy. Then Jax tells the Mayans the thing he got so many slaughtered for getting wrong. Gemma killed Tara. And Gemma, warned by Juice, flees north as the world she built on that lie caves in. She runs under a false name, riding north toward her father. Back in prison, Juice steers his own ending, handing Tully a scalpel and letting himself be stabbed to death over cherry pie, his long unraveling over. Gemma reaches her father's nursing home, where Alzheimer's has wiped her from his memory, and she confesses the whole thing to him anyway, to a man who can't condemn her because he no longer knows her name. Unser finds her first, and when Jax arrives, he refuses to step aside. The two men draw on each other. Jax lowers his gun, then coldly raises it again and shoots Unser through the heart. Gemma doesn't flinch. She walks out to the garden, tells her son it's just who they are, and Jax shoots his mother through the back of the head among the roses. He has become exactly the man his father wrote against. All of it began with JT's manuscript, a dead man's dream of pulling the club out of guns, and so it ends with Jax burning that manuscript and the bloody history of his family with it. Then he says goodbye to everyone he loves. He leaves his rings on Opie's grave, his wedding band on Tara's, and hands his money and his sons to Wendy and Nero, begging only that the boys grow up hating him. He confesses everything to D.A. Patterson, the woman who once told him she understood the hunger. He kills Borowski and August Marks in broad daylight, then meets his club a last time. He cuts the president patch off his chest and gives it to Chibs, and stages his own exit so no brother has to carry the weight of his death. Then Jax rides to the spot where JT crashed, the same highway, the same circle closing, and tells his father he understands now. The only way to keep the promise is to die exactly the way JT did. He aims his bike at an oncoming truck, lifts his hands off the bars, and dies on the road. Crows scatter as his blood spreads to meet a crust of bread. Strip away the Harleys and the gunfights, and Sons of Anarchy is Hamlet on two wheels. A son who swore he'd fix his father's club and instead became the very thing he hated, one funeral at a time. He inherited a lie, and the only clean thing he ever managed was buying his sons a way out, with his own life, on his father's road. If this one hit you, the next saga's on screen now. Subscribe for stories told all the way through. I'm Seriously. I'll see you in the next one.